Hi. Today I'll be talking about the history of sampling in hip hop and its legality. Have you ever been in your car, you're listening to a song, you're like, oh, okay, I like this song. You're like, oh, this sounds familiar, I've heard this before. And then you look it up on Shazam, through your phone. And then you find out it's from some old 1970s or 80s song. And you're like, okay. Well, I got a song like that, and I'm going to play it for you. This is a song called I Choose You by Willie Hutch. It came out in 1973, and it was sampled in 2007 by a group called UGK. I'll play it for you. So you see how they sampled it? See how they added the drums to it? Put a little hi-hat, give it a little bounce, and then they rapped over it, kind of made it their own. So to talk about sampling, well, first you have to go back. You have to go back maybe 100 years. Because, as music isn't, you just don't create it right then and there. It's like threads, you build on top of the previous generations. For example, jazz music was mostly influenced, or what it imitated was old immigrant music from either Europe or Africa. When the people came to America, they added their spin, which led to things like soul and R&B, rhythm and blues music, which was primarily influenced by jazz and gospel music of the South, which led to rock and roll, which was mostly influenced by rhythm and blues, singing and soul music, which eventually led to hip hop, which samples everything: rock, soul, R&B, western, country, polka, anything, all over. So today I'll be talking about the creativity aspect of sampling. Some would argue that sampling is not creative at all. Some would say it's cheap, it's downright stealing. Well, not really, because when you're sampling things, you have to really look. You're not gonna just sample any old song that everybody knows, because everybody knows it, so they're gonna say, oh, it's not yours. So you have to look for something obscure, something from Argentina or Bolivia or Bulgaria, something far away. So what they do is they create it. They'll look through songs, look through things, or they'll try to find break beats. And break beats is just the drums, just the drums, a little, and they'll do that. So with break beats, also what people like to do is a thing called scratching, which was invented by Grandmaster Flash in around the late 70s. And what he would do is he would get a turntable and he would just kind of, the song scratching, but I don't know how to make it, I can't do it with my mouth. But some people would say that scratching is not creative, which is not true, because it's kind of its own instrument. Because what you do when you're scratching, you can't imitate that out rhythmically. You can't imitate it at all with the guitar or piano. So to say it's not creative or to say it's not its own thing is kind of, I don't know. But for example, with the breakbeats, with just the drums and the scratching, I'll give you an example of where it was sampled. Where it sampled the drums and it showed you an example of scratching. I'll play it for you right now. Yeah. So that's the original drums. That was sampled by a song called Big Beat. And this is the Tribe Called Quest, sampling the same drums. You hear the scratching? So see, that's how you can take one sample, small sample, and make it into something totally, that don't even sound like the same thing. But I digress. So yeah, some people would say sampling is not, it's cheap, not creative at all. Legendary guitarist Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin once quoted, although he has changed his mind, he did quote saying that sampling is nothing more than stealing a guitar riff and shouting at you. Which, yeah, kind of, but I'll show you a time where basically Jimmy Page on his first album, Led Zeppelin 1, where he basically stole a whole riff from somebody and kind of didn't even give them their credit until he got caught years later. Here, I'll play it for you. It's called Black Mountain Side. This is the original song. Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page. You know, I was about to say that, oh, it's stealing. Mm, you know, you heard it. You can make your own mind up. So, with that, sampling comes copywriting, because some people say stealing as in like that, they say, oh, you stole that. So what nowadays, after people realized that rap music can make a lot of money, they started making it copyright laws. They made it very hard for people to sample things. It would either take, if you had a sample that you didn't clear, they would take the whole album off the shelf and get rid of your livelihood, out the window. See you later. But for an example, in 1989, I believe, Gilbert O'Sullivan was sampled by Biz Markie in a song called Alone Again Naturally. And Mr. O'Sullivan did not take kindly to it, and he wanted to make an example out of Biz Markie, so I think he sued him for some $20-odd million and completely got his album off the record, off the stores, off the shelves. And I understand why Mr. Sullivan would do that, because he was a one-hit wonder, and this is a famous song, And I guess he feels like it was a cheap imitation. Here, I'll play it for you. You can decide. Right there, see, he didn't clear that sample, that one sample, although, I feel like he kind of had it coming, even though he didn't get it cleared. His whole album was taken off the shelves. They could even take the one song off, which kind of sucks, but hey, the law's the law. Also, some people have been quoted how sample clearancing is very expensive. One rapper from Detroit, Danny Brown, was quoted saying that never spend $70,000 on samples for an album that no one would ever buy. Which makes sense, I understand. $70K is a lot of money. But as I digress, sampling it has a rich history. I feel like it's more of an art, it's more of a respect thing, to show the people that you're sampling from, like, hey, I took this and I made it to something better. That's my whole goal. I don't think people create stuff to make something bad, in their intention. They're always trying to make something good, unless it's for the money, So that is my history on sampling. Thank you.